Welcome back, viewers. This is Literary Goa, the program where we talk to authors of different books related to Goa. Today we have with us two books, one dealing with the Konkani language, another dealing with the seminary of Rashol, the Jesuit College and Diocesan Seminary of Rashol. And with me is the author, Father Mousinho the Ataide, who has a long name which is actually quite long. Father Ataide is well known in Goa church circuits because he's been a priest for a lifetime. More than that, he's been a scholar. He has understood and studied various texts and various books. That's his history and that's his interest. Apart from that, more recently he came out with this book called A Grammar of the Konkani Language, which I was very impressed by, and there's a reason for being impressed by it. Father Mosin will tell us the reason and the story behind Grammar of the Konkani Language, a 100-year-old manuscript.
Yes. See what happens? Very often things come by coincidence. From Neura, I used to go often to the Central Library. And Central Library, especially the rare books
Section.
And there, by chance, I asked that Marianita Paiva, do you have the manuscript of Delgado's grammar offered by him before he died? She said, yes. Maka dakoishi, will you show me? It was wrapped. She opened it. I said, this is very difficult to read. She said, yes, very difficult to read. Immediately I had in mind, I shall dedicate myself for the translation, because to publish it as it is in Portuguese may not be that worthwhile.
Doesn't make much sense today.
May not be useful. So as I was excogitating, I thought of, because see, I know Portuguese. I know some English.
That's an understatement.
I know Konkani. I am a lover of Devanagari, but I cannot affirm that I have got proficiency in it. So I required someone else. So I met Madhvi Sardesai.
Yeah, before she passed away.
Yeah. Madhvi, are you prepared to help me? You know Portuguese, some Portuguese. You know English well. You know Konkani well. Vishal, yes, she says.
So that's a very interesting story of how this book came about. But Father, in case the audience doesn't understand the significance of it, Monsignor Delgado is this great scholar who has passed away in 1922, exactly 100 years back from now.
Yeah.
Before dying, as you told me the story, he took his manuscript, knowing that he was on his deathbed, and gave it to the Central Library, with the precursor of the Central Library. And then 100 years later, you all just in time translated into an English Konkani book. Of course, it was Portuguese Konkani, you all made it English Konkani. And it's a fascinating book, isn't it?
It took 7 years. Because if you see the manuscript, it is sometimes it is not legible.
You have it there?
Yes, I have it. I have it here.
My goodness, it looks like very difficult to decipher.
Very difficult.
Just a scroll, no?
Very,
in that sense.
Very difficult.
And you made sense of it all?
See, most of it I made sense. Sometimes I took days to decipher one word. Days. But at the end of the day, I was happy.
With a magnifying glass, you told me?
Yeah, big magnifying glass with lights and so on. So, and then sometimes it was not even possible. Then I consulted grammarians. And sometimes I myself have got something of grammarian in me. Yeah. And that Father Christo, both of us, we said, let us decide that it is this.
Yeah, you had to take a decision.
Yes.
So what's the output, Father, of the book? Tell us what's in it as of now. What does the book contain in that sense?
This book is a comprehensive grammar of a higher level. It is no point handing it over to students of high school. Only those who are doing MA. Even BA, I don't know. Because it is very comprehensive. It is very deep. It is what is called, it takes from what people speak, and then out of that, he makes the rules.
And he does it in style, no? Because there are so many. When I just opened it, I found so many interesting sections and passages and descriptions, and with so much detail. 100 years back, he's written.
Yeah.
What I found amazing in particular was that section on the interjections.
Interjection. So many interjections.
Could you explain?
Yes, so many interjections. Now these interjections are used by people, but now probably no longer.
And we have either forgotten them, or we don't know them comprehensively, or we even don't know the meaning. We intuitively know that this means more or less something like that, but
we may not even know that they exist.
Yeah, but Delgado explains to us exactly in detail what each one stands for.
Yes. I don't know where are they, but they are there. They are here.
Yeah. Like for example, some interjections, if you remember offhand.
Expressing joy. We expressing pain. Yeah, calling someone. She expressing disgust.
And calling someone different sounds for different animals.
Yes. So, for example, you call the pig with one, the fowls
with another sound.
Yes. So it is.
And he's documented all of this more than 100 years back.
Yes. He was a man. No, both his legs were cut
because of diabetes.
Both, and he did most of his output is during that time because he could not move around. No. He was sitting on his bed with the pillow was his desk.
I see.
And all the time writing, all the time studying. So it is something very, very amazing.
His work is still recognized, and scanned copies are available on digital archives like archive.org and things like that.
I'm not sure.
They are.
I'm not sure.
He did done some important work. Like I think his most best known work, probably if I'm not wrong, is influence of Konkani on Asian vocables. No, where he
no. There are two books.
Yeah,
two books which are masterpieces. No one has reached that stage. Influence of Portuguese language on Asian languages, and influence of Asian languages on Portuguese.
I see.
The two massive volumes.
And he touches so many languages.
So many languages, about 50 languages. And it is said that he would request his friends, because he could not move, for books.
I see.
They would bring the books. He would make use of them. And
of course, that's recognizing the man, but we need to recognize your work here. And in recognizing that work, who is Father Christo and how?
Now, see, Father Christo is a young priest. He should be in his 60s.
Yeah.
He was my parishioner in Goa. I did not have much inclination towards Konkani. Even at home, my mother would say, don't speak Konkani. But I would speak.
Yeah.
In the seminary also, speaking Konkani was frowned upon.
Yeah, the Goan Catholic middle classes were either English or Portuguese in that sense.
So, not much. I was appointed assistant at Goa. And by chance I met him because he was a seminarian. And then we spoke about it. He started a conversation in Konkani.
I see.
And both of us took a liking to each other. And it is he who created some interest in me for Konkani.
How many years back?
Now, that should be at least 35. At least 35 years back. He was not a priest at that time.
I see.
He was not a priest at that time.
Interesting.
And then after Madhvi died,
2012 or
maybe
11, 12. Or...
So both of us we did this work.
Professor Madhavi, of course, was a former head of the Department of Konkani, Goa University.
Yes.
Linguist and many
she was
things.
A linguist.
Yeah, and she also used to edit a literary journal called Zag, and also in case.
Yes. Probably probably if she was alive, the level might have been.
I see.
I might have been.
Yeah.
I'm not saying.
Yeah.
Christo is also no.
Where Christo is not in Goa at the moment.
She's 7 years now.
Yeah.
That he settled down in
UK?
UK, Swindon.
Swindon.
Settle,
I see.
settle down. And I pay my obeisance to him because he trusted in me.
I see. Interesting.
Trusted in me. He said, whatever you do, I own it. And I said, whatever you decide,
Yeah.
it is my decision.
To go back to the earlier book, Father, that this book, of course, is a fascinating piece of work.
Here I
Sorry,
I
tell
saw
us.
you. I saw the interjections.
Okay.
134. I just see.
Yeah.
Yes, so many.
There's a page and a half of interjections in Konkani.
Yes, so many. Hi, oi, oige, aige.
Each one with a different connotation from the other.
Yes.
Hmm.
And then remember that he was not in Goa.
For much of his life.
Yes. Writing except the dictionary Konkani Portuguese,
Yeah.
which he did in India. The rest of the writing was done in Portugal.
Where he was professor of Sanskrit.
Sanskrit and Konkani.
I see.
He was a theologian by training. He was canonist by training. He was jurist by training. But his first love was linguistics. He became a linguist. He became a Sanskritist. He became a Konkanist, if I can use the word,
Yeah.
by stint of hard work.
This is
Self-made.
early 1900s.
Yes.
Late 1890s.
Yes. Late 80s, 18s. That is 19.
If it's not for you and people like you, we forget these kind of figures from Goan history. No, I think Goa doesn't remember its own achievers in that sense.
He was who? See, I don't want to be proud. I don't want to be proud. I want to be humble. But with humility, I recognize that I was the soul behind some celebrations which were held in honor
In
of
Goa. In Goa. And in Portugal, it had a big thing, of course.
in Portugal.
On the 100th death anniversary.
Yes, I want to get in contact with them and see whether they can
Share the resources.
useful for my monograph. We should come before the end of the.
We'll talk about your next work later, but just to focus on your earlier work. Your first book is on Rashol. This is brought out in 2012, 11?
Yes, 2012.
Can you introduce it and what it
See what happened. There was a centenary, fourth centenary, of the main building of the Jesuits. The additions were done afterwards in the course of time.
Yeah.
So it was 2010. Everyone, there were many programs. At the end, I entered myself and said, I will write historical monograph, avoiding all the tales
Yeah.
which abound,
Yeah.
and in which I don't believe.
You studied there.
I studied there. I was a student for 7 years there. Best years I spent there. And then,
What are the tales you don't believe in? That would be most interesting.
so sometimes they say that
Well. There's a well.
there's a passage.
Yeah.
They say that it was a passage
To Margam.
to some river, which is I went. But then it stops. It cannot be. It's only for the passage of water.
I see.
Passage of water.
Yeah. So okay. Sorry, I took you on a detour, but tell us what the book contains.
Now, the book is historical. Every statement is proved by documentation. And at the end are main documents. So first, it was a Jesuit college, 1610, up to 1759,
Yeah.
when the Portuguese government abolished the
Orders. Jesuits.
the Jesuits.
Yeah, under Pombal.
Yes. Then afterwards, it became from 1762. There was a gap. It became a diocesan seminary. It was a diocesan seminary. Diocesan seminary passed through many hands. There were Vincentian fathers, Italian. There were oratorians, Goans,
Yeah.
and then at the end, they were when all the religious orders were abolished, they were run, the seminary was run by diocesan priests from Goa. It is then that it took up.
It was quite a vibrant place at one stage because there were few options for higher education, and almost
Yes, yes.
everyone went there.
Yes, true.
People who were priests and people who were not priests and
Yes,
who
yes.
didn't remain in.
Yes. I know definitely that Dona Leonor Furtado e Fernandes,
Yeah.
who was the editor for long of that India, Portuguese than India, she
studied there.
She studied Latin there.
Yeah.
She said, then I know that, this is only heard,
Yeah.
that one Hindu studied Latin there.
I see.
Probably others also might have studied.
I see.
That is the only seat of higher learning in South Central.
Interesting. Future books, future plans.
See, first of all, I'm now busy with the monograph on Dalgad, which should come at the end of 2022.
English or Konkani?
No, English. See, you put me this question. I'm a lover of Konkani.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not bringing any controversy here. I feel that language is just a clothes for the ideas.
Most of my short writings,
Yeah.
for example, letters, or especially during the controversies,
Yeah.
they were in Konkani and they were in Devanagari script.
To make a point.
Right.
But anyway, yeah. So this will be in English
This will be in English.
for a wider audience also.
Yes, definitely. This is one. Another one, which if I am able to do it, if I live in this world,
You will.
I want to write a monograph on Dr. Mariano Saldanha,
The historian,
historian and linguist. And
Sanskritist.
and also like him, professor of Sanskrit and Konkani in Portugal. I want, because these are all people who worked on their own, self-made men,
Yeah.
and their self-worth, self-study was acknowledged. Nowadays, you require qualification.
Degrees, yeah. And they came from different fields. No, I think medicine or
No, he came from medicine and pharmacy.
Yeah.
He came from priesthood.
Yeah.
But who can compete with them?
One contentious question.
Yeah.
In the past, the priest was probably the most educated person in the village.
Yes.
And everyone looked up to them.
Yes.
Now, two things have happened. The priest maybe is not going in so much for higher education, I don't know. And the secular world has become more educated. So that gap has reduced and, maybe we don't have that respect. Do you feel enough is being done by the priest in Goa, particularly the diocesan priest, to take knowledge forward, which is an important role also?
See, formerly, they would not go abroad for any studies. Rome or nowadays that is being promoted. Not promoted. But then what happens now? Just because you have come from abroad, just because you have studied in the seminary, just because you have read, it is not that people are going to accept whatever you say, because people's level of education has also been raised.
But Father, if you don't have the degrees, you're also being pushed out of the formal educational system in that sense, no? Now.
Yes. If you do, now it is required.
Yeah.
Now it is required. For example, if it was now, Dalgado would not have been recruited to be the professor of Sanskrit and Konkani in Lisbon.
Right.
Would not have been.
Right.
The same applies to Dr. Mariano Saldanha.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't have formal qualifications in their field, but they are great people in producing knowledge.
In my view, regarding those two massive volumes, influence of the Portuguese language on Asian language and vice versa, massive volumes, I don't think anyone has even reached near the standard. And in those times,
Yeah. When we think we take the internet for granted, it's like a library on a desktop. In those days, even books were not available in that sense. Plus distances and transport. And
great man.
True.
Great man. And I feel with the greatest respect for Manevish Bragança, I think that this Institute Vasco da Gama should have been named after the Ataide.
We won't go into that because that's another contentious issue. Yeah, but you have a point there, I'm sure, Father. What I wanted to ask, what's your word of advice for young people entering the field? Are we doing enough to study our place, to understand the place? Goa.
See, I have a cousin of mine, just a cousin of mine. She's also Ataide, though not very closely related,
Yeah.
but we consider ourselves as. She was doing history. I advised her, do pre-Portuguese history. Do research. Lot has been done about Indo-Portuguese history. It is rather a Portuguese history in Goa. Anyway, do pre-Portuguese. You'll have to do field work. You have to go to the rivers. You have to go there. No one is doing that.
Yeah.
To show that Goa has its own importance, its own worth, its own history, apart from Portugal. Otherwise, we are considered to be appendices of Portugal. I'm not against Portugal, but the history in the Portuguese history of Goa is history of the Portuguese in Goa. Not more than that.
You mentioned Ataide. Tell us about the connection to Ataide Library.
Ataide. He
The person who Ataide Library in Mapsa was named after is your relation.
Yes. His name is Father Luís Gonzaga de Ataide. Luís Gonzaga de Ataide. He.
1900s?
I'm not very sure.
Okay.
And I'm not very sure. See what happens now? Or what happens now? We are what is called Botangele. Botangele. Our original surname.
Religious priest.
Our original surname is Pant.
I see.
But there are Pants in Mulgaon because they went, no?
Yeah.
Now, what happens? They say, it's a tradition in the whole village that he was the head priest. He became a Christian.
The converts you're talking about.
He became a Christian, and the whole village became Christian.
I see.
And it is said that from my house, the Franciscans constructed the church.
Church of Salvador de Mundo?
Salvador. I'm from Salvador de Mundo. And then we have had all this tradition of priests in the.
I see.
Priests in the.
So Father Ataide is
may not be the same direct lines.
Yeah.
But see what
extended.
happened. But he is a founder also of that Mondegiri.
Yeah.
Mondegiri.
It's mentioned in the old website. It's mentioned.
Mondegiri. And then when he
Capuchin?
No, he was not a Capuchin.
Okay.
He was a
Diocesan
priest. When he went away, he handed over to his nephew.
I see. Montegiri.
Father Ippolito de Luna. Now, Father Ippolito de Luna's mother and my grandfather are brothers and sisters.
Yeah, everyone mentions these names. I know. I've heard.
But then afterwards, no, he wanted to hand it over to a nephew of his from his sister's side.
Yeah.
But then he was not able.
Yeah.
He was not able. Father Lorenzo de Souza. Therefore, he handed over
to the Capuchins.
And it's good.
In the 1940s probably.
And it is good. But
yeah, it grew.
But whether they remember it or not, I don't know.
No, it is mentioned. I've heard these names all in books. Having said that, thank you so much, Father, for your time. And this is a fascinating book. I would recommend anyone who has the slightest interest in Konkani to have a look at it. Of course, this is also church history. But this book in particular, I was a great fan of it, and I wrote a review, and I really liked it. Thank you for all the work you've done.
Thank you so much
it's
for calling me here.
Pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much. May God bless you.